Good morning, good morning. Just getting a few sips of coffee while everybody comes in. We are going to work on solid granny squares today, and we're going to add a little extra added oomph to these granny squares. I'm working out of a book that I picked up off of. Actually, I think I got it at this. I got this book, and try not to have the light shine on it so much so that you can see some of them. We're going to make one of these today. We're going to make this one right here. And I'm going to show you how to do a solid square. This can also be changed to make it a hexagon, and you can use this pattern to make the hexagon cardigan, and this would be awesome. I think I might make one of these. This would be awesome, awesome, awesome. I definitely am going to do that. So stay tuned for that to come up. But we're going to work on this one today. So I have picked out some tan and some dusty rose colored yarn that I'm going to work with today. And I have an H hook, which is an 8 or a 5 millimeter crochet hook. So I'm going to get this set up so I can read this fairly easily without having to do a whole lot of craziness, but not get into any violations here with the talk. Trying to find places to sit stuff that I have over here that I didn't get put away from when I was crafting yesterday. Alright, now I need to adjust that a little bit because that is, there we go, glaring my pages. I got some new peepers the other day and I can see now. I am so excited. I told my friends I can see all the mistakes now. It was a joke. So we are going to be using two different colors. If you don't want to do the color changes, you can follow along making the same square in a solid color. Also, if you're limited in supplies and only have one color of yarn, you can work through with without doing the color changes this morning. Good morning, Ra-Ra. And let me see here, Samantha, good morning. Welcome, welcome everyone who is coming in. Just to remind you that this is Tuesday's class. This does not count towards part of my giveaway. I do have to make sure I mark my giveaway videos so everyone can go back and, check it out to see what all is involved. I finished up the patterns over the weekend for the giveaway, and I'm excited. I'm excited. Really excited. So, hey Crochet Dude, how are you? We're going to be showing a solid, I still call them granny squares, but they're not granny squares unless you do the granny stitch. So we're just going to call this a solid crocheted square. It starts off the old-fashioned way where you actually, oh, you're doing yarn-tastic. Look at you, yarn-tastic. So we secure the yarn onto the crochet hook with a slip knot. Or if you don't know how to do a slip knot, just tie it on, or any way that you like to secure it onto your crochet hook. I'll show you how I do a slip knot for those of you who may be new. I hold the yarn between my thumb and ring finger. I wrap my index and middle finger, make an X. Flip it over and hold it with your pinky right there. I go under the first piece of string, grab the second one, give it a little twist. At this point, I drop everything. Well, not everything. I take my two fingers out and I have both of the tail ends, and it just helps me to tighten that up and onto the hook. Once you've got it secured on, we are going to chain 4, and then we are going to slip stitch back into the first chain. Okay. and that makes a little rudimentary circle, and we're going to be working in the middle of that loop. Let's see if I can't make it a little bit bigger so that you can see it. In the center, the loop that was made by those stitches all being pulled around. So what we're going to do is, this is the round where you make all your corners, and we're going to be working with the double crochet stitch today. So we are going to do 2 double crochets and then chain 3 in that circle. Make sure I get into the circle there so I don't catch. And this is one of the reasons why I don't like doing it this way anymore. I like the magic ring. Definitely do. Okay, there's 1 double crochet. There's the second one. It's going to be easier to get into that circle now that I've got that first stitch in there and it's holding it open for me. Now we're going to chain 3, and we're going to do 3 double crochets in the circle. I'm going to yarn over, go into that circle, and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over again and through 2 loops. That is a double crochet stitch. If we have any beginners here, and I will check on these comments here as soon as I get this 3rd double crochet done. And this starts out just like a regular granny square does. So if you're familiar with making granny squares, you're going to have clusters and the chain 2 or chain 3 spaces that this pattern calls for. See a lot of people. Thank you. Is it Saberlin for the follow? All right, yeah, Crochet Dude, he's pretty popular in Crochet Talk out here. Now we're going to repeat what we just did 3 times. So actually, yes, we're going to chain 3 and then do 3 double crochets again. There's our 3, and in the same spot right in the middle, 3 more double crochets, and this is going to make our square shape. And I have to find my scissor. And chain 3 again, and 1 more cluster of 3 double crochets right here. I'm used to using a smaller hook. I went with a bigger hook today so that the detail could be a little bit better. All right. And then we are going to chain 3. Oh, I forgot no I didn't. I did the chain 3 there in the beginning. So we are going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 3. I think I only chained 2 though. So mine's going to be a little wonky, but it'll be all right. You're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 that we did at the beginning before this chain 2, or the 2 double crochets. Hopefully I told you to do that. If not, we need to back up and do the chain 3 here and then the double crochets. And you have a tiny little square here. I'm going to check and see because we're going to have a color change coming up in the next row here around. And it might be the very first, no, it's the second stitch. All right, to start round 2, we are going to chain 3 for our stitch height. I like to explain the stitches and why they have it there. If you start your double crochet from down here and just yarn over from down here, it's not going to give you the tallness of the stitch itself. And then we are going to come over here to this corner right here, and we are going to do a double crochet here. And actually, we're not doing it in the space. We are doing it in the chains. Is it the chains? Okay. it says here to double crochet in the first half of the corner right here. And I'm going to check and make sure this looks right. What did I do? I got too many loops on there. Double crochet here. And then you're going to double crochet in the chain here. This little chain right here. You're going to double crochet into that chain right there. At least that's what it's telling me to do. That's going to be hard to go through now. My chains get pretty tight. I should have checked this pattern out, but life got away with me this morning, and I'm like, okay, I know how to do all these stitches. We're good to go. But sometimes the directions get me a little bit. We shouldn't have this gap right here. I'm going to back this up to our chain 3 for our stitch height right here. And I'm going to show you the way I know how to do it. This next stitch will be our color change. So we might drag color through here. Because we did the chain here. Give me just a second because my brain is not processing stuff today. And I need to look at this graph just a little bit. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to do a double crochet in the same space as our join, right here. And we're going to stop at this point because we're going to do our color change because our next stitch will be in the top of this double crochet and we need to do our color change. If you're not changing colors, you'll perform the rest of that stitch and then you'll follow the directions for this stitch. Okay, I just fold it over like this, leaving a little bit to weave in, and I loop it onto my crochet hook and finish up the stitch. This allows this color to stop here with this stitch so that this doesn't get dragged over, the tan doesn't get dragged over into the top of your next stitch. I leave both of the tails back here in the back. We're not going to cut this because we're going to be doing so many color changes so close together. We're going to carry this straight on through. And I'm missing some of my comments. Oh, you're already lost. I'm sorry. Have you done a granny square before, Rara? Yeah, I probably should have flipped, but I like working the granny squares like this. So I'm just going to follow the graph for the color changes and do the squares the way they've got it here, which will work out just fine. So our next is going to be a double crochet right here into the top of the double crochet there from the last row. And then again, we're going to stop here because we're going to change our colors. And I'm going to work over these tails of the colors that I'm not using as I'm crocheting. So we are going to finish off that double crochet, and then we are going to double crochet into the top of the next double crochet here. Okay. Get into that space there, into the stitch I mean. There we go. Do our double crochet, and then we're going to do one in the space right here. Okay, I didn't yarn over. Yarn over. Here we go. Stick with me, guys. We'll get it. Stick with me. We'll get it. Now we're going to chain. I know we did a chain 3, but I want to make these holes just a little bit smaller. Let's stick with the chain 3. Keep it uniform. Chain 3. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to do one in the space. Got to yarn over first. One double crochet in that corner space. And then we have a chain right here that we're going to go into before the double crochet. You see the chain space there, or the stitch? We're going to do one into there. And And then we're going to do 1 double crochet into the top of the first double crochet. And again, this is where we're going to do our color change. So at this point, you're going to stop, drop the color you don't need, pick up the color that you do need, and I didn't work over that on all the stitches, but it's okay. And finish off your double crochet. And I'll show you here, I should have stopped. You can see here how the top of this stitch, when you change it over on the last stroke of your stitch, no matter what stitch it is, it doesn't travel over into the top. Because this loop, if I would have pulled through with the tan, that tan loop would be on top of this dusty rose stitch here. So we're going to go ahead and do our double crochet into the next double crochet from the last row. Oh, don't finish that stitch off because we need to go back. Today's going to be a day of doing a lot of backing up for me, it looks like. Okay, and we switch our colors, finish our stitch, do a double crochet in the top of the next double crochet. Okay, and then we're going to do 1 in the chain, yarn over first, 1 in the first chain of the 3 that we did for the space in the corner, and then 1 actually, you can see it's done in that chain, and then we're going to do 1 actually in the space. So that has we have increased our stitches from 3 to 7 because we are increasing 2 on each side. 2, 6, 7 stitches. Okay, we're going to repeat that all the way around. So we'll start off here with our chain 3. And we're going to do 1 double crochet in the space and 1 double crochet in that chain. Where's the chain? Because that's the top of the double crochet. The chain's right before the double crochet stitch there. Do 1 in there. And then we're going to do a double crochet in the top of the first double crochet. Don't finish that stitch off because we're going to do our color change in the middle, which is the middle double crochet here. All right, so we need to change our colors. Drop the one we're not using and we're going to work over it. And this is how you do the color changes for your graph gans too. Oops. Finish off the stitch first. There we go. It's a day of going backwards. Our double crochet with our color change here, and again, don't finish your stitch. If your yarn starts to become tangled, instead of dropping them to the back, drop them to the front and it will untwist. So if you alternate and grab the right one, alternate which way you drop them, to the front and to the back, your yarn will not twist up as you go around. Got 1 more double crochet here in the top of the 3rd double crochet from the last row. We're going to do 1 in that chain there on the corner, and then 1 in the chain 3 space. Okay, and we're working right on around, making this square solid other than these here. If you like these holes to be smaller, you can do a chain 2 or a chain 1. They are a little bit larger because I'm using the hook that's recommended, or 1 hook size down from what's recommended for worsted weight. So again, chain 3, do 1 in the corner space, double crochet, and the next double crochet is going to go into, let's see here, into this space here, which is your chain, the 3rd chain before you did your double crochets on the last row. I pulled through, there we go. 1 double crochet in the first double crochet, and don't finish off that stitch because we're going to do our color change here. And let's see, drop it that way so we can untangle that here. Finish off our stitch, do our double crochet. Don't finish it off because we're going to do that color change again. Going to get a lot of practice if you're following along with the color changes. If I'm moving along a little too fast, let me know. I will slow down. I want to make sure that all the beginners, get a full understanding of the stitches, the language that will be used in the patterns, which I try to use as I'm showing you the stitches here. And I'm doing one in the last double crochet there. We're going to do one here in this chain, and then one in this space. If I get through the chain there, get a hold of the whole thing of yarn. Okay, and one more right here in the actual space. Okay, now we're going to do our chain 3 for our corner. Thank you for the follow, Naomi. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need the one that goes in the chain and the one in the space to make our 7 count for this side. So we're going to go ahead and do the one in the space, 1 double crochet in our chain 3 space, which was the chain 3 space created from the last row, and then we're going to do one right here in this chain. Okay, get it in there, and then we are going to join to the top of our turning chain that we used for our stitch height. And here, I'll put these yarns out the opposite direction. You can see we have what looks like this, where we have our color changes, and you can see I'll have to show you what I mean by finishing off your stitch when you're doing a color change. And I have an issue here. I put that over one too far, but I got my 7 stitches in there. This one should have been the one, but it's okay. It'll be a little lopsided. I don't want to go back the whole row unless somebody needs to see it again, and I will show this again. Ra Ra, are you still here? Thank you for the follow. Amanda Panda. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go on. I'm going to leave that color right there, but I'll adjust on the next row. I don't want to go back and confuse everyone. So we're going to continue on. Our next row, I got to make sure I have this right. So this one here, we're going to do our color change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 2, and then on the third part of my chain, and I'll tell you why I do this, because this loop lays over onto the top of your next stitch. If I don't have this loop, this matching color, you're going to have this underneath with a tan loop across. So on my next chain, and I probably should have worked that up the chain, I'm going to pull through that loop, and I'm going to hold this a little snug, but not tight to where I lose the height of the loop where it matches everything else. And I'm going to hold it down along the back of the next stitch, and I'm going to work over it when I perform my next stitch. Okay, so here we're going to do our maroon. And at this point we are going to finish that stitch because we have 2 more stitches in this color. So we're going to do the double crochet in the next stitch and one more right here. Now we're going to do our color change. I'm going to mistakenly do this so I can show you what happens for those of you who are new. If I do my color change at this point, I can do that. It's not a problem. I'm going to yarn over, go down into my stitch. Now when I finish up my stitch, You see how that drags that maroon over on top of there, and you don't have a definite change in color. Your colors bleed over. So that's why when you do the last swoop, I call it, of the stitch, you stop here because there's your double crochet. This is just the stitch that you work for the next stitch. So I do my color change here. So that way this lays over top of the next tan stitch. Okay, and we're going to do double crochets in the next 2 double crochets. Here's the last one. And then we're going to do 1 in the chain and 1 in the space. No, we did 1 in the chain. I'm sorry. That is the chain. We have 1 in the space here. Looking at this graph and making sure that I've got, because this color's off by 1 right here, and our turning chain should have been a different color, but we're going to let it go. I can probably fix that when we come back through. Not a problem. I'll show you how to fix that. All right, so we're going to chain our 3 now. And do 1 in our space. Oops. We don't want that to bleed through. We weren't holding on to it very well in the back, so it wouldn't bleed through. There we go. There's the 1 in our space, the 1 in the chain. Hold on a sec. Here's the chain stitch. That's probably why I'm getting off. I'm putting it in the middle chain. Okay, now let's see. We should have done a color change. So we got to back up on the last part of that stitch. Finish that one off. And we're going to work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets. 1 in each of the next 5 stitches. Pull some of that out there. Keep an eye on my time here, because we do want to make sure we save our hour for the knit portion. Keep working over that other color. I'm securing the other color underneath each of the stitches. Actually, we're going to do 4. The other one is going to be on the other side, I do believe, because we should have 3 stitches. Nope, 1 more. I was right with my first count. Oop. This is a day of going backwards. Today's going to be fun for me. Finish off our stitch there for our color change. We get 1 in the last double crochet, 1 in the chain, and 1 in the space. All double crochets. Making sure to hold that other color there and work over top of it as you do your stitches. And then our 1 in the chain 3 space. And then we're going to chain 3. I'm also going to show you how to cast on to double pointed needles today, and how to make a square on double pointed needles. So we need 3 of these tan color stitches. So 1 goes in the space, 1 goes in the chain, and 1 goes in the first double crochet. So we have 1 double crochet in the chain 3 space, 1 double crochet into the 3rd chain of your chain 3 space, and 1 into the first double crochet. Oop, back up again. Color change. For those of you not doing a color change, you can keep on. You'll work across all of the double crochet stitches. You'll work in that first chain and then 1 in the chain space. Okay. Now we're going to go, actually, No, we got to back up one. Sorry guys. We're only going to do 2 on this side, and then we're going to do, got to back up some more for our color change. 2 double crochets, then color change, and we're going to work 5. 2, 3, that should be in the top of the color change from the last row, and then 2 more, 1 in the next 2 stitches. And this stitch here we're not going to finish off. I'm reminding myself we have a color change. Now if your work gets twisted up like this, okay, you see that the one is going over top of the other, just take and turn your work on your crochet hook like that a couple of times, and then it separates. So you don't have to rearrange your yarn, just twist your project. Okay. Now we're going to do our color change, finish off that stitch, and we have 1 double crochet in the last double crochet, 1 in the chain, and 1 in the space to finish off that row. I've got 2 stitches at the beginning of each. Again, reminding myself, 2 stitches at the beginning of the heart there. There's 3 at the end. That helps me get the chart into my head a little bit better. And then we're also going to have some of this start going up some of these stitches too here in the next, not the next row, but the row after. So, all right, we're going to do our chain 3 again. And we're going to do 1 double crochet in the chain 3 space, this being the chain 3 space, 1 in the chain before the double crochet, and then 1 in, that was the double crochet, we missed the space, it's hiding on us. It's hiding on us, there it is, right there. And I made that super duper tight. I don't know why my chains always end up tight. I try to crochet my chain loose, and I'm probably going to have to learn how to do that, what's it called? The foundation chain, where you do the chain in the first row together. Alright, and there's the first double crochet. And again, we weren't supposed to do that one, that color. We have to back this up because we only have 2. No, we have 3 stitches on this one. Now we got to do our color change. Right there. And then we're going to work 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, looks like 9. I don't think we have 9. What did I do down here? I made a mess. No, I'm looking at the next row. I'm sorry. Yeah, we do have 3 right here. I'm telling you, I'm getting ahead, looking ahead at the colors on the corners. We have 5 of these to do. I'm still on this row and I'm looking at the directions for the next row. Trying to get ahead. 5 of these dusty rows, and on the 5th one we're not going to finish the top of the stitch again. There's the 4th one. Here's the 5th one. Alright, now we're going to do our color change. right there. And then we have one in the double crochet, one in the chain space, or the chain, the first one of the chain 3 for our space from the last row, and then one in the chain space. Alright, now this is where I'm going to show you how to fix, because this one should have been the maroon color. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get our corner stitches in here. We have one in the space. We have one in our chain here. Get that through there. I got to start being a little easier on these chains because I got to go into them now. There we go. And all right, we might have an issue because that wasn't working out right. 1, 2, 3. This should have 3, so we're going to do it. We're going to finish off this stitch, do one here. This is the one we're not going to finish because we're going to do our color change. Hopefully I can keep from having to go backwards too many times so we can get this done before knit portion starts. If not, I'll come back and it won't count towards class. It will actually be a giveaway live. And we have to have 5. All the others had 5, so we're going to make sure we have 5. This one here should have been one of these colors. Okay, whatever color you choose to make the heart with. So I'm going to come right here and I'm going to make one right in the same spot where it is. Okay. And I'm going to work it right over, pretty much right over top of it. And when I join these together, I am going to have to go back. We're going to push that to the back, join into the top of the first maroon stitch. Okay. And by doing that, that will straighten that up a little bit. I wouldn't do this on anything that was being sold to somebody, but because I'm just demoing this in class, I can show you how you can fix some of your mistakes. And that can be looped through when you sew, and it can be pulled together. And when you pull it through the back with some of this other yarn, the other stuff pulls together. Okay, it's a way you can fix it. Now, because we moved over one, our graph has moved over one, which is not a problem because this is a flat granny. We're just going to have to do a little different over here. Instead of starting at this stitch here, we're starting one stitch over, which is no issue with it being a solid granny. Good morning, Jackie. How are you? You would like to see the back of the granny square? Sure. We'll stop here for a minute and look at some of these comments. Good morning, Debbie. This is the back. I do have some gaps here. Well, that's a string. I carry the other one on the back. All these color changes could be done a little bit differently with the color change, but for this, I would put a liner on the back of it. The color changes can be done differently so that you don't see all of this. It could be worked in. I'll make sure I didn't miss anybody's. I think that's Froggy. Yeah, Froggy, thanks for the follow. Kyla Rose, thank you for the follow. I try. I learned several different ways. I can learn by watching a video or somebody do it. I can learn by reading a book or actually, getting in there and just doing it myself. But, I try to teach it several different ways so that, you know, everybody catches on. If there's something that you don't quite catch, let me know. Because I can use different words. Sometimes it's the words that make it click. All right, I'm going to turn this around a couple of times so we can untangle this before we get started back again. So we're going to go ahead and do our chain 3. And on this next row, 2, 4, 6, 8, we have 9 maroon and 3 on each side. So if we come over here, we're going to have 1 here in the space, 1 in the chain, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're going to have 2 white on each side, and the rest are all going to be maroon, or the tan color that I'm using here. So we're going to do a double crochet in the next stitch, which is this one here, or is that that's the one I joined in, the next stitch. And then another one. We're going to do double crochets in each double crochet over to the corner. And I'm going to double check all the way to the last double crochet. Okay, so this one here. And then our last double crochet here, we are going to do our color change. So we should have not finished that stitch off. And I didn't work over any of that. And I'm going to pull it back and work over it because I might keep this square. Make sure you hold your other yarn and work over top of it. Hold it along the back of your stitches here. And when you do your stitches, you work over top of it. I make sure that it lays to the back as best I can so that it doesn't, you see here on my, I lay it right next to the loops on the stitch. So that way it lays more so to the back of the work and not show up underneath here under your stitches where your colors change. Okay, and we have, that should have been our color change again. All right, finish off our stitch, do our double crochet in the last double crochet, 1 in the first chain, and 1 in the chain space. Okay, we'll do our chain 3, and now we're going to have 3, pulling out yarn and I'm hitting my light, 3 double crochets before our color change. So we have 1 in the chain 3 space, we have 1 in, get this pulled back so I can see my last chain here, I can get a hold of it, 1 in the last chain, make sure I'm working over my dusty rose there, and then 1 in the first double crochet. Now don't finish that stitch. We're going to do our color change. So we drop the one that we're not using and pick up the one we're using. Pull that through. And then we're going to work all the way across to the last double crochet. So all of these across through here will be this dusty rose color. All the way over to and not including the last double crochet. I don't think I caught that on that last stitch, but again, that's okay. And as I was saying at the beginning of class when I was showing the book and talking about hexagon cardigans, this could be very easily turned into a hexagon by repeating this center. Instead of doing 4 clusters, having 1, 2, 3, 4 clusters, you would have 6. And this would work up into a very cute cardigan for a little girl with the hearts on it, the hexagon style cardigan. Good morning, Gnome. Rachel, thanks for the follow. Okay, this is the last of the Dusty Rose here, because we're going to hit this last double crochet right here with our color change. So do our color change here, and the last double crochet, 1 into the first of the chain 3 from the last row, and 1 into the chain 3 space itself. Okay, you can see here our heart is building. We did make a couple little boo-boos at the beginning, but we've got a general heart forming here on this. So we're going to continue on around. We have 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 more rows, and I think we might be able to push through because the knitting portion is pretty easy for me. I'll show you how to cast on to double pointed needles and how to make a square, or how to make a round. You can do it in round too. So we've chained 3. We're going to do our double crochet in the chain 3 space. Make sure you can see that last chain of the chain 3. We're going to go into that, yarn over first, so we struggle to get it in there and have to pull it right back out. All right, get that, both of those loops of that chain in there. Nope, that's in the space. We'll get them in there. Maybe. I always do these corners so tight because I don't like big gaps. Make sure I got my work over that other yarn there. There we go. And we get 1 in that first double crochet. Now, shouldn't have finished that stitch off. Color change. Alright, there we go. Now we're going to do all the way across double crochets all the way to, but not including the last double crochet here in this row. One giant granny square. If you have your stitch count right, it should not. It should not. If you're doing it in an actual square, no, it should lay flat. Now, some people like to turn when they do their granny squares. If you like to turn, you can still turn and do your granny square and still do this in the same fashion. All right, we have 1 more, and we're not going to finish the stitch off because color change, because there's our last double crochet. And then we are going to do 1 in that double crochet, 1 in the first chain of the chain 3 here, and 1 into the chain space. My background music is gone. Lay that down for a minute and give everybody a second. I want to check some of these comments, and I'm going to confirm that I'm still listening. Has everyone taken their meds? Oh my. Yes, I can show the book again, Jess. I sure can. The corners you should have, yeah. It's not going to look like a perfect square. As you can see here, it's rough because you have to block it to get it squared out properly, and we haven't even finished this row up yet. So, you know, you're looking at these 4 corners here from the previous row. Yeah. And you have to make sure that you're doing your stitch heights properly. When you're doing a double crochet, you have to pull that last loop a little bit because you don't want your stitch rounded. You want it nice and tall. That's the purpose. But yeah, it does look a little wonky at first, and it should lay relatively flat. We're increasing 4 stitches every row. So we go from 3 to 7 to, what is it, 12? 11. I don't know. It's 3, 7, should be 11. So every row gets 4 more stitches, and your increases are being done here in these corners. Okay, because we started out with 3 and chain 2. We could have stayed with 3 and chain 2, but then, yeah, it would have built a box. So that's how you build a box. If you want to build a box off a granny square, just pick up these front loops and start working up this way. But if you're increasing properly, it should lay flat. If you increase too fast, it will ripple, because then you have too many stitches, and then when you go back the next row, it's gonna, you know, warp and ripple. But yeah, it's watching your stitch count. That's the craziest part of crafting, isn't it? No, keeping that stitch count right. So again, we're going to chain 3. We have a double crochet in the chain 3, or in the chain 3 space. Okay, and I will show you what I mean by pulling up your loop proper. We got to catch this chain here. So let me get this wriggled in. I don't know why this one's always seems to be the tighter. I can get into the front one, but I have an issue getting into the back one. Make sure I work over my other color. And I didn't even show you. Here we go. Yarn over. When you pull up the loop at this point, okay, this is the way I was taught. Other people were probably taught differently. Your stitch height is up to your needle, and your needle should be parallel to your work. You shouldn't be performing a double crochet down here like this, because this will cause your work to be misshapen. Why do you feel called out now? So when you pull up your loop, always make sure you bring it up to stitch height, where your needle, or your hook, sorry, your hook is parallel to your work, like this. Then you're going to work through those. I always pinch it down here at the bottom so I don't elongate any of those loops by, you know, because you don't want your loop to be like this, because that drags over and then stuff gets wonky too. So it has a little bit to do with your tension as well. All right, so we have 3 of these colors. Actually, on this corner, no, I'm looking at another row. Here we go. Yeah, we need 3 of these. So the first double crochet we're also going to do in this lighter color. Don't finish your stitch off because we're going to color change. Okay. Then we're going to do the 9 across the next 9 stitches. We're going to work our color here. Again, you know, make sure you pull your stitch height up. See that I pull mine. I'll show you where I pull mine. When I go into the stitch, come through, I'm pulling as I reach. Just be careful. You'll find the way that works for you. Some people will actually pull, then reach. It all becomes a fluid movement once you know, grasp the concept. And we're going to do these maroon or heart colored stitches all the way over to, but not including the last double crochet here. Okay, and there's the last one. So this one here is going to be a color change. Drop that one, pick up the other one. Okay, do the last double crochet in the chain space, or in the first chain of the chain 3, I'm sorry. And then one in the actual space here. Okay, now we're going to turn our corner, pull out some of that yarn here, chain 3, and we're going to run over into the knitting portion a little bit, but we'll extend it past 10 o'clock this morning. So I only had a couple more rows left to do, and then you'll have a finished, what happened here? You will have a finished square. Alright, we are going to 1 double crochet into the space after you did your chain 3 there on the corner. We have 1 into this chain here, which is the 3rd chain of the chain 3 space. And then 1 in the first double crochet. Oh, color change. Pull that through. And we're going to double crochet over to our starting chain, or our turning chain here. Okay, and I think we have, get that to hang to the back side there a little bit as it's showing through there. There we go. One more here, and I'll make sure. 2, 3, 4. And that one did count as a stitch. There's our 9. Alright, and we are going to slip stitch into the top of our turning chain. Okay. And I will elongate this, and I will show you the front and the back of here. This is the front. I'm showing how to make a solid granny square, but we have added a solid crochet square, because granny square is the granny stitch. And I'm also showing some color changes, how you can jazz these up a little bit for blankets and the such. And this is what the back side looks like. Not as messy as I thought it would be with all these color changes. It is laying flat. The square is a little wonky, but once it gets blocked, it will be nice and square. Okay. Now, I'm going to, before we get started again, unravel those so that we start out fresh. One more time. There we go. So on this row, I'm going to have to figure this out a little bit, because we've moved over, because we corrected that one little uh-oh. We're going to have 11 of those maroon colors, and at the corner we're going to have 2 of the maroon colors. So the last 2 double crochets, and okay, so we're going to work this heart color, whichever you've chosen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches across. So the next 5 stitches we're going to work in this. So again, we're going to chain 3 for the start, and that does count as one of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, one more, and that's going to be our color change. So we're not going to finish that stitch off. We're going to swap our colors out. And then we are going to finish up this side with the double crochets, one in each of the next 2 double crochets that should be left. One in the first chain of the chain 3 from the previous row. Oh, that one has to be a color change. Sorry. We got to back this one up. Get our color change here. Finish our stitch. Go into the chain, the first chain of the chain 3, and do that one and one in the chain 3 space. Now we're going to chain 3 and do our one in the chain space and one in the third chain of that chain 3. I need to move this up out of the way so I can find it. Here we go, right here. Okay, and I'm going to lay this down really quickly so I can show that book. Okay. All right. I'll hit you up after. What did you make last night, Corinne? A blanket? One of the granny square blankets in just one square? This is the book that I'm working out of. That the squares are out of. Waterfall Crochet by Joanne C. Gonzalez. And I will flip it over to the back because it shows you all of the granny square directions that it has. And I'm trying to bend it up a little bit so the light doesn't glare on it. And we're working the one on the top far left. But it's got all of those in there. I think it's a pretty neat idea. So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 more rows, so it shouldn't take us too long. Alright, now we should not have finished off this stitch because this was our color change. So we're going to back that up, grab our other color, and we are going to work 2 double crochets, one in the next 2 of the next 2 stitches, one in each of the next 2, sorry. This should have been our color change. Pull that back through, and we are going to finish our stitch, and we're going to work the next, should be 11 stitches in this color in a double crochet. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I think I did a boo-boo somewhere. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because I'm supposed to have 2 stitches, the last 2 double crochets. Okay, no, I'm good. I'm looking at it funny. Okay, oh, color change. It is a reverse day. Finish off that stitch. Okay, and we're going to fix our count here because, yeah, I'm going to put a second one right here. You should have 2 double crochets left over. I think because I got rid of that chain 1 at the beginning, by working over it because I had an issue, and that one should have been a color change. And I didn't fix it, but somehow we got away with it. I'm going to do one here in the chain, the first chain of the chain 3, and one in the chain 3 space, all working in double crochets. I hope I haven't missed any of the comments because I am running a little behind. We should have started the knit portion like 7 minutes ago, but I want to finish this up. All right, Gnome. Thank you for the follow. I still can't really see that real well. Is that Can 3 fan? So let's continue on here. I was just checking to make sure that I had caught up with all the comments and I didn't miss anyone. I'm going to do a double crochet here in the chain 3 space. We are going to double crochet into the chain, the third chain of that chain 3 space, and get it into that stitch. And this is our color change. So we don't finish that stitch off with that color, we finish it off with this one. And then we are going to do the first 2 double crochets. We're going to put 1 double crochet in each of those, making sure to work over your other color that you're not using so it pulls it along through with you. And that should have been a color change. Oh, come on. Alright, and then it should be the next 11 stitches again. 1 double crochet in each of those. Yeah. I gotta check something here real quick because that's only giving me 10 again, and I put 11 on the last row, and I gotta pull that back out because that came through. No, it's showing 11 on there. Alright, well, we'll make it 11. And I'll just have to, let me check my stitch count here real quick. I got my stitch count. I don't know what I did on the last row, but we're going to fix this just like we did the last one. We're going to put 2 into 1. Don't do that too close together, putting 2 stitches into 1, because it will cause your work to ruffle. Okay, I'm only doing this here, and I'm going to do this kind of in between these 2. And then do this double crochet here. That'll give me my 11. 1, 2, 3. There we go, because we have 2 of these, 11. Color change. And then 2 of the lighter color, and then 2 of the maroon in the corner, or the dusty rose. I don't know why I want to keep calling it maroon or mauve. Alright. 1 double crochet in the last 2 of this tan color. We're not going to finish off because it's a color change here. And do the 1 in the chain and 1 in the space. course, all these stitches are double crochet. Now we're going to chain 3, and we're going to repeat the same thing over here on the other side. I still had 3 there in the beginning. I don't know what I did on the last row to not have what I needed across that maroon. We're going to do a double crochet in the space, a double crochet in the chain, the third chain of the chain 3. Oh, not in the chain. I got to really work on my chain tension. All right. And that should have been a color change right there. And that didn't look like it got into the right spot, but we're going to leave it. All right, 1 in the top of the first double crochet, 1 in the top of the second double crochet, and again, color change here. And we're going to make sure that we have 11 of these across the top of this one too, so that way our stitch count will be right for the next row. Two. Unless I'm not putting that in the right spot over here. It looks like I am. They're all lining up. So I did something. We're going to increase this one here. Kind of went 1 in the stitch, 1 in between the stitches, and 1 in the stitch. So I could get back up to my 11 count across here, because I should only have 1 more stitch wider than the row below. And I'm rushing along here a little bit, and I shouldn't be, because I'm trying to teach you guys how to do this. Alright, we should have 1 more double crochet. When we come off of this color, we have 1 more of this color right here, and then we have our color change. Now I have 1 too many here. Let me back up here and take this double out. So yeah, it was definitely something that I did on the other rows. And I'll double count that again once I get this all done. Again, just double crocheting in each of the matching colors from the previous row below here at this point. And we're going to have 1 extra that hangs over the edge of the color. So here, 1 more, and then we'll do our color change when we finish this stitch up. And then we have 1 double crochet in the last of the 2 double crochets here, and we'll do 1 in the chain. Oh, that color change. Back up. Hopefully I do better on the knitting portion today. Finish off our stitch, yarn over, go into the first chain of the chain 3, and do 1 in the same color as your heart, and 1 in the chain 3 space. Chain 3, and we're going to do 1 into the space, 1 into the first or the third chain of the chain 3, which is there, and now we're going to do our color change. The first 2 double crochets will be done in the lighter color. Now we'll switch over to the, trying to see which way to turn this so I can undo it a little bit. There we go, just drop it to the back. Finish off our stitch here, and we're going to work over to our turning chain here. We should have 5, looks like 10, and that will make our 11. So all of our stitch counts should be good for the next row. I don't know what I did, but you should have 11 of the different colored stitches for the heart across each one in this row, and your turning chain counts as 1. Oh, come on. There we go. And then we are going to slip stitch into the top. I'm going to go through the back in that 3rd loop. It's easier to get into. And we have something now that looks like this. Now on our next row, we are going to be splitting these 2 sections here for the heart shaping. So we have 3 more rows here to do. So at this point, I actually need to back up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because my turning chain should be in the other color. So we are going to back up to the point to where we do our slip stitch, and our slip stitch is going to be performed in the opposite color, so we can start with this color. 1, 2, because our turning chain counts as one of our double crochets. Okay, and actually it was a chain 3, so let's pull some more of this yarn out here real quick, and we'll start this next row. Because our next color is a color change, we have to back up 1 chain, pick up our other color, do your 3rd chain in your other color. Make sure to hold this a little snug, because you don't want this last loop to get too big and you don't want it to get too small. Okay, go ahead and start your next double crochet here, which should be in the next double crochet. And I just hold it a little more secure as I'm performing that stitch. And we are going to do, actually I skipped a stitch here. Sorry about that. My eyes are still adjusting to new peepers. You should be over top of the last 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets of the last row. Get that to pull back down in there. There we go. And you're going to do those 5 double crochets in the same color as the previous row. Make sure you're working over top of the yarn that you're not using, so that you'll have it for the next color that you need. This last double crochet right here, we are going to do our color change, so don't finish that stitch off. Stop there, get your other yarn, finish your stitch. Okay, now for this one, we are going to have the next 4 stitches. The next 4 double crochets are going to be done. Is it 4? Yeah, are going to be done in this lighter color. So 1 double crochet in each of the next 4 double crochets from the previous row here. And once we get to the 4th double crochet, which is our next stitch, don't finish off that stitch, because we are going to do a color change. Okay. Finish off your stitch. Now we are going to work into the first chain of the chain 3 with a double crochet. I gotta make sure I work over the other color too. And 1 in the chain 3 space. You're going to chain 3, and then you're going to do one in the space and one in the third chain of the chain 3 right here. That's before the double crochet in the chain here. And I'm going to go through the top and catch the third loop, which is a little loop on the back. It's just as effective as catching the other two, and it doesn't change the look of your work. Alright, that should have been a color change. Finish off that stitch. And again, the first 4 double crochets are going to be done in the lighter color, or the opposite color that you had chose to work the heart in on this. Alright. This is 2, 3, and 4. Alright, that should have been a color change. Sorry guys. I need a horn to alert me to the color changes. I'll look here really quickly, make sure. Hey Jonette. Good morning, Karen. Julianne, good morning. Sorry I missed you all. EMS Rebecca, good morning. Thank you for the follows, everyone. I appreciate it ever so much. Okay, we're going to finish off our stitch here. And we're going to do 5, work across. Let me make sure I got 11. 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes, we're going to work across 5, the next 5 double crochets, and the 5th one is going to be a color change. So 1 double crochet in the top of each of the next 5 here. There's 3, there's 4, and here's the 5th one. Again, color change. So we are going to pick up this one, finish off our stitch. Again, color change immediately. So we're going to go into the next double crochet, color change. And the next 5 are going to be done in the dusty rose color here that I have. 1 double crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. Now, mind you, if you are savvy with graph paper and patterns, you can design your own pattern for this granny square. On the graph paper, you'll mark out your 3 original stitches. This will be 1 square. These 3 stitches will be centered over this middle square. And you can mark out, highlight however you want to mark it out, all of your squares as big as you want your square to be. And then you can put whatever pattern you want in there. You can put leaves in there. Yeah, color change. Thank you, Arlene. Somebody's looking out for me today. Thank you for the follow. A touch of books. Yes, we have to back up so I can do that color change. But that was funny. Thanks, Arlene. I need a klaxon horn. I can hear it. I need to get a little drink here real quick. It's probably only going to take me about 30 or 40 minutes to show you guys how to do the knitting portion. So we will finish this up first. And one of my other friends, Hoarder Ace, she's actually done that technique. And she's doing a knitted hexagon cardigan. And it looks amazing. I can't wait for her to show it off. So here we're going to do our color change. And we are going to work with this color across all 4 of the last double crochets here that we have on this side before our corner. And put 1 double crochet in each one. Okay, now we're going to do a color change. And I didn't work across any of that, but I'm not going back. We're just going to drag it over there for now. Okay, so we're going to do one in the first chain of the chain 3. And I'll show you, when I can't get it into that chain, I will go into the center here. You see the little V that's formed by your crochet stitch. I will go into the center of that, but I also end up catching what they call the third loop. And that didn't catch the third loop. Let me catch the third loop and I'll show you what that looks like on here. Sometimes I can't get it through the top 2, but if I can get it through the back loop and the third loop, see here? The back loop and the third loop. I think I got a little bit of this other stitch in here. Let me try and do that a little bit better so you can actually see it. It might not work that well on this one because, no, it's not going to let me do it. But the third loop is this little loop that hangs down back here because you can see the 2 on the top. If you can't get through the stitch with the top 2 stitches, you can go down through the middle of the stitch here as long as you catch one loop, which is normally the back loop, and then the third loop. Now we're going to do our next one in the space. We'll do our chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, and we're going to do 1 double crochet in the space. If we can keep the yarn on the hook today. Today's not going to be a good craft day for me. And we're going to do 1 in the chain here. The third chain of the chain 3 space. Make sure you catch both your loops, otherwise it'll put another gap in there. And we have to yarn over first. Okay, color change. And again, we're just dragging this right along. I didn't even put it up underneath. So the next 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to work in this color. So do double crochets in those. If there is anyone who is a beginner and doesn't know all of the stitches yet, please let me know. I'm going to do a couple of tutorial videos to show you the difference in the stitch heights and how to perform each stitch. If anyone needs that, please, and this was a color change, message me. I can't take notes anymore at this point because I lose the notes. And we're going to finish off that stitch. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 11 stitches. We're going to work 5 stitches in this maroon color and do a color change. So the next 5 double crochets, we're going to put a double crochet in. Let's not catch the fuzz from below. Here we go. I miss my smaller hook. I like working with a smaller hook, but we chose to work with this one today. And here is our 5th stitch, and this is going to be our color change. And finish off our stitch there. And again, immediately after, another color change. So, stop here. Color change. And in the next 5 stitches, why do I have 6 stitches over here? Okay, we're going to put 2 together. I didn't need the extra stitches for some reason. I got to stop flying by the seat of my pants. And I'm going to show you how, and I'm not going to do it all the way at the edge. I'm going to do it here towards the middle. We're going to put 2 of these stitches together, and I'll show you how you do a double crochet decrease, or how I do one. There's many different ways. Yes, the 5th DC is a color change. Thank you, Arlene. Yes, I'm gonna, and that was for the what is that? The light within me. That was for the videos on the crochet stitches, correct? I want to make sure. But yeah, if you follow me, you'll get to know that it'll tell you. Oh, okay. I'm working on solid crocheted squares. I don't want to call it a granny square because we're not doing the granny stitch. This one here is actually this square right here. And I try to teach you guys how to do these things so that way you don't need a pattern, how you can make your own designs on here. And I'll have to do some videos on how to make designs on squares using graph paper. So you can have your kids draw on graph paper, and you can take what they've drawn on that graph paper, whether it's scribbles or whatever, and you can make them a placemat for at the dinner table. You can put it on a sweater. You can do all different kinds of things without a pattern. So I'm going to help you with that. Now, as far as the decrease goes, you're going to go ahead like you're going to do your stitch normally. Yarn over. Go in through here and pull up a loop. Okay? Then you're going to go into this one and pull up another loop. Okay? Then you are going to go through, I go through all 3 at the base, then I go through 2 at the top. If you pull through too many, it'll increase your stitch height too tall, and I might have to redo this because I think I might have did it the wrong way. Let me see here. Yeah, I did. I'm going to go into here, and pull up a loop, stretch it, go into here, pull up a loop, and then perform your double crochet. I didn't need to yarn over first. Pull through 2 at a time. You have decreased 2 stitches into 1. Okay, because we only need 5 here. See, stitch count. You need to be able to do stitch count. Now I counted it and it was wrong, but it was actually right. So count twice so you don't have to frog your work. Okay, and you can see now that we are back to the 5 stitches that we need. And that should have been a color change. Where were you at, Arlene? Yes, pull through 2, pull through 2. Sometimes with the health issues that I have, and I back that up because we have to do our color change here, things don't click when I'm talking, or if I'm trying to listen to someone and there's the TV on or there's another conversation going on in the same room, I will get snippets of this conversation and snippets of that conversation, and nothing makes sense to me. And sometimes I just have to stop what I'm doing totally, stop all the noise, and redirect my attention to one thing, and then start over. So, yeah. Life has gotten really fun here lately, especially since I want to continue teaching. So, you know, everybody just persevere along with me, and we'll teach each other. Okay, that was our color change. Finish off our stitch. We're going to do one in the first chain and one in the space, both double crochets here. So get into our first chain of the chain 3 here from our last row. Another thing I'm going to be doing, once I get you guys through the basics, that's too tight, come on. Once I get you guys through the basics, I would like to do a crochet along. Something where, you know, you guys have picked the pattern, and we're going to do one here in the space. And something that's not great, big, huge, because I've got a lot of other projects going on back here. But something that we can do and meet up, and we can set a time span to where if you want to do it once a week, we can do it once a week. You know, it would only be, of course, we're doing our chain 3 now, and our double crochet in the space, and one in the third chain of the chain 3 from the last row. And these are getting Twist it up pretty good now. Alright, now when we get done with the chain stitch here, we have to do our color change again. That's just a gentle reminder for me. So into our chain stitch here, if I can get it in there. There we go. Make sure that's over there. And do our double crochet. Color change. I heard Arlene. Yeah, some days I'm really good. Other days I'm not so good. But you know what? This is Tuesday. Yes, I can show the back here in just a second. Let me get this color change swoop done and then I'll turn it over for you so you can see the back. I keep pushing through. I do my best to keep pushing through and not let it stop me. Sometimes I have to take an hour or two break and, you know, go outside and I can't say W-A-L-K, the dogs, because they would jump up and go crazy at this point. But here's the back, and this is my tail from the center. I did forget to carry my yarn a couple of times, but you can see carrying this all the way through, even around these corners, a couple stitches I missed. You will cover, just make sure, and these are the carry-ups. These can be covered up as well. I just wasn't as expert as making sure that every stitch that I wasn't using one color or the other, that you work it underneath the other stitches. But yes, that's the back side there. Yeah, there you are, Arlene. Another sip of coffee here. And it's almost 10 o'clock. And we still have two more rows after this one to do. And we're not quite finished this one. We got to get back over to here. So we might have to, if you guys want to, come back at 11:30. It depends on what time we get this done. Let's see what time we get this done. Because I can extend it up to about 10:25 if we need to. And it won't take me that long for me to show you. This is a more of an intermediate, and we're doing 4 double crochets, one over the first, each of the 4 double crochets in this background color, I call it here. On the 4th one here, we're going to do our color change. Okay, there's our 4. And then we are going to work over, let me make sure I got 11. We're going to work over 5. The next 5 are going to be, next 5 are going to be in this dusty rose color here. On the 5th one, we're going to do our color change again. Okay, and this one is the one where our color change is. And hopefully I'm staying in camera frame for you guys. Alright. Now we're going to do our 1, and again, another immediate color change, so don't finish that stitch up. We're going to finish it up with our other color. Okay, so that way this loop here goes over top of the maroon. Otherwise, if we finished up that stitch and then did our color change, we would have this loop over top of our next maroon stitch. Okay, so the next 5 stitches are going to be the maroon color. We're just going to copy the row below over the next 5 stitches. And tomorrow I'm definitely going to get to work on those stitch videos. I'll show you the difference between the stitches, and I'll see how many stitches I can get done in 10 minutes. I mean, there's not that many in crochet, the stitches. It's the manipulation of the stitches. And let me untangle this here a little bit. This is going to start knotting up. A couple more. All right, there we go. Put my crochet hook back in here. And we shouldn't have finished that stitch because that was, what was that, Arlene? Color change. Yes, color change, dear. There you are. You had it before me. All right, and the next 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to do double crochets in this tan color that I'm using here. And the 4th stitch again, color change. I just love spending Tuesday mornings with you guys. I really do. And here comes our color change. All right. Finish off our stitch. Okay, we're going to work 1 in the chain and 1 in the space. First chain of the chain 3 from the previous row. And that's something wonderful about crochet. You can work your stitches wherever you want to work them. They have a spike stitch that you work 2, 3, 4, however many rows down you want. All right, we're going to chain 3 now. We're going to do a double crochet in the space. And then 1 double crochet in the 3rd chain of the chain 3 space and color change. Let's see here, that's not the one we want. Get it in my hands the way I want it to be. But I want it out of the way so I can get in this chain. Okay. There we go, we got it. I can pull it back out now. There we go. All right, and we didn't work over that one again, and it should have been a color change. Here we go. All right. Now the next 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to do double crochets, and then we'll do our color change. My dog wants to go after the leaves that are blowing around in the driveway. It feels like a fall morning out here. The breeze is blowing, the air is crisp. Yesterday we had the air conditioners on. Color change. All right, finish off that stitch. And we are going to do 5 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 5 stitches to match up with the ones we have here on the row below. And this is getting almost too big to be in the camera frame here. Okay. Now, because our starting chain is this color, and we are going to this color on the next one, okay, we're going to finish off this stitch, and when we go to slip stitch it, we are going to slip stitch it using the opposite color. So we are going to go into the top of our chain 3, lay our maroon here, and we are going to pull through. Don't pull through too tightly because you don't want to stretch this too far, because we've worked it all underneath of here. We don't want to gather up that section. Okay. Oh, actually we should have done before that, because again, you see the maroon color came over. So we should have finished off this stitch with, and that's what I thought, but I thought no. But yeah. Finish off this stitch here with this, our color change. And the chain 2 got kind of wonky, didn't it? Oh, that's because we did that funky little thing in there. And I'm going to catch both of those in this, up here in the top. Okay, so now we're going to chain 3. And we are going to do the first in the same color here, and then we'll do a color change. And we'll work 3 double crochets. Okay, this is our color change. I don't know why I'm getting all knotted up again so fast. Do our color change here. And we are going to work 3 double crochets over the next 3 stitches with this color. I just got new glasses yesterday too, so my eyes are still kind of adjusting. It looks like I'm looking at a 4K TV. Now we're going to do our color change, and we're going to work all the way over to the last double crochet with this lighter color here. Three, 4, 5, 6, and we have one more. Should be 7 in total. And here you're going to do your color change and work in the first chain of the chain 3. There we go. And then in the space. Okay. Now, how many are here for the knitted portion of class? Good morning, baby girl. Oof. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yes, Rose. Sometimes the book can confuse you because you don't know how to do it, but the book is showing you, but, you know, the book really doesn't show. Is there anyone here who is for the knitting portion of class today? Because I would like to work on that, and then we can come back at 11:30 and finish this up as just for fun, or we can continue on with this and see how much time we have left for knitting and come back for the knitting at 11:30 just for fun. Okay, you're here for the knitting. So we are going to work on the knitted portion, and we will come back at 11:30 and we can finish this up under the just for fun. It won't be a class live. And when I do this up for just for fun, I will go ahead and pull out graph paper and everything, and I will show you guys how you can graph anything on here you want. And I will turn this over now so everybody who wants to see a look at the back side can look. There are some places where I forgot to work. These are my color chain where when I first put the tails in. Those are my 2 tails there. But where I forgot to work over my carry through here. But overall, if you remember to work it over, it doesn't look too bad on the back. And really, you know, I wouldn't cover it up. It's the back side. It's supposed to look like the back side. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to the side, and at 11:30 we will come back and finish this up, and I will show you how to graph whatever you want to on squares for crochet. Alright, we're going to need a set of double pointed needles. I normally only ever work on 3 because 4 confuses my brain too much. I will use 3, and I will have 1 that I'm using to work my stitches with, and I use the 5th one for a cable needle. So, some people work with 4. Rose, were you talking about the crocheted square? On this crocheted square, it's just this design right here. This is what I was looking at to tell you all how to do. Some things I can look at and tell you exactly how it's done. My mother can look at anything other than cables and tell you how they're done. All those crochet chains and loops and all that kind of, crochet detail, my mother can tell you what row and everything. So this is what we were working on today. And this came out of this book which I got, I think, I either got it at the store or got it offline, one or the other. I can't remember which one. But it's got all of these different squares in the book. So, but I'm going to set that to the side for now. We'll come back to that at 11:30 today, and I'll show you how to do that. You need a set of double pointed needles. I'm working with a US size 8 or 5 millimeter knitting needles, double pointed. These are double pointed. They have points on both ends. Turn them around this way so you can see in full camera view. Both ends have points on them, so you can work the stitches off of either side. These are used for working in the round or for making round squares from the center, and I'll show you how to do that with these. Yes, I do love granny squares. I do. They're so versatile. You can use them for just darn near everything. Hats, gloves, cardigans, blankets, socks, slippers, everything. So, I normally use long tail cast on. So, for this one, that's what I'm going to be doing. Long tail is exactly what it means. You pull out a long tail, you start in the center, you're using this and this for your stitches. Because we're only going to be casting 2 stitches onto each needle, you don't need a really tremendously long tail. There is a way to figure out how to do that. Some people take and wrap their yarn however many stitches they need, and then they'll start from here and start doing their stitches. There is a mathematical way. I don't know how to do that. I just fly by the seat of my pants as usual. I pull out a tail. This will do way more than the amount of stitches I'm going to work on. The tail end lays across my thumb coming towards me. The other end going to the skein lays across my index finger. Okay? And then I just pull them together like a slingshot, like this. I'm holding the yarn in these two fingers, and I've got everything else triangled around my thumb and my index finger. I'm going to take my needle and put it down in between my hand and my yarn, and I'm going to twist it so that the point's facing the opposite direction. This is your first stitch. I'm going to put 2 stitches on 3 needles, okay? Second stitch, I go to the meaty part of my palm and run up my thumb. I'm behind that string. I hold that one. Come over here to my index finger, run down my index finger. I've picked up this string. Now I'm going to come back over to my thumb and run down my thumb. Okay? I'm going to hold this right here. I'll take my thumb out of that loop, and I'm going to come back down here to my tail string and just snug it up. Okay? I have 2 stitches on this needle. I get my yarn again, my tail end over my thumb, the yarn going to the skein over my index finger, and I'm going to get my other needle because we have to put this on 3 needles. Okay? I laid this needle right in between those 2 stitches because to me, if I try to hold it on this slick slippery, it likes to slide around and I don't want it to move. So I put it right here between those 2 stitches, and I pinch both needles between the fingers, the index finger and thumb on my other hand. Okay? You can see I have the needle that I need to control in my hand. The other one is just being pinched next to the other one. I'm going to do that same motion again with this new needle. To the meaty part of the palm, up the thumb. I'll hold that there. To the tip of my index finger and down. I'll hold that string under my thumb. Then I go back down my thumb. At this point, I can let go of the string that I was holding, and then I hold it again. Drop my thumb out. Pick the string back up that's supposed to go over my thumb and tighten that stitch up. Okay, and I'll do that again. Okay. There's 2 stitches on that needle. Now I'm going to grab my 3rd needle. I'm going to hold these 2 in this hand like this, get my 3rd needle, position it between those 2 stitches because that helps, and then I have to pinch all 3. So here I have this finger on the very first needle, and then I'm going to pinch these 2. So it's a combination of, let me get this needle back over here, this. Okay. Go up the thumb, down the finger, back down the thumb. Okay. And you're going to cast on 2 stitches. Now, once you get all of this done, you have 3 needles with stitches on them. Okay. I try to get the stitches to the center because at this point they can fall out. Okay. And I try to make sure that my cast on edge is all to the same side. I don't want them twisted around to where the cast on edge is over here and they're all in different spots. I make sure that they're all right here. Then, this is really going to confuse some people. I have a hold of all 3 of these needles. Let me get a control of them here, and I grab my 4th needle. My yarn is coming off of the last needle that I put stitches on. I need to come over to the first needle that I put stitches on, and we're going to start knitting. Okay? This is the fiddly part for most people. Once I get that in there, I can move these needles around so that I can control them. I work with double strand when I first start out. You're going to put 2 stitches in each stitch, okay, for the first round. So with our needle in through as if to knit, we are going to, and again, this is an intermediate knit, so if you're a beginner, this is going to look kind of crazy. So if you're a beginner, just watch. Unless you're courageous and challenging, you can go ahead. But we're going to knit in the front and back loops of each stitch around. So there is the knit in the front loop. We don't knock the loop off. We go, take our needle to the back and get a hold of that, the back of that loop, the same loop. It's easier to move it down towards the bevel edge, but make sure you've got control of your stitches. Okay. Now I'm going to let this other one go because I've already secured it under one. Normally I do 3 or 4 stitches, but I don't want you to be confused with all this string because there's enough needles in the way as it is now. So I'm going to go ahead and knit into the back loop. Okay, it's going to look like 3 stitches, but this one stitch is doubled up because I got 2 strands of yarn in there. Simply because that's how I work my weave in to start on knitting. I work with 2 strands. We're going to go in here and do the same thing. 2 stitches. We're going to knit in the front loop, right there. Don't knock your stitch off. Take your needle around to the back. Put it into the back of that loop and knit in the back loop. You're going to do this all the way around for all 3 needles. Once you get 4 stitches on here, this needle is not going to fall out as easily as long as your stitches are snug. Comfy snug, not second skin snug. Okay, yes, knit in the front and the back loop is an increase. You're correct. Knitting gnome, you are correct. All right, so on to the next needle. Insert your yarn as if, your needle as if to knit. Go ahead and don't wrap your other needles in there. Get this thing out of the way here. Okay, here we go. Now you're going to go into as if to knit the front loop. Don't knock your stitch off again. Come over here to the back loop, the back of the same loop, and you're going to knit. Okay? Once we get this round done, all of these needles, you should put a stitch marker on here for your beginning of the row. Normally I don't do that until I get to this next row because there's just too much going on and I don't want to have to be fiddling with stitch markers. Okay. So when you get done, there should be, we have one more needle, 4 stitches on each needle. And then from that point, each row will increase by 2 stitches. Okay. So it'll go 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, each row count. So here on the last needle, I'm going to knit in the front and in the back loop, which is a knitting increase. Now, make 1 is a different increase where you pick up bars, and if you like to do it that way, it's a little harder to do it this way because of these little stitches, so this is why I do this when I do it this way. When you get up to more stitches, you can do the make 1 if you want to. Make 1 right, make 1 left. There are different ways to manipulate the stitch so your stitches lean in the direction that you want them to go. All right, now we have 4 stitches on each needle. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one looks like a double because I work double-stranded. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. This one's got 2 strands of yarn. That's why, because it's got my starter tail in there. Right there. Okay. Now, on the next round, this is where it gets a little different. After I do my first stitch, because I'm working on double-pointed needles, you missed the beginning. Let me see here. I've got some other of the same size needles here. They're just a different color. And I can do it again on another set of needles. Okay. We're going to set this aside and we're going to show the beginning again. Okay. You need to have 4 double pointed needles because I only ever work on 4. Working with all 5 of them, it's too much for my brain. So, to cast on, you are going to cast on 2 stitches on each of the 3 needles. Okay? So, let me come over here. I didn't want to have to cut any yarn, but I'm going to have to. Let me pull some of this out, and we'll start over here with this. I didn't grab a 3rd or 4th skein because I didn't think I'd need it for class. Move this off to the side so none of that string is confusing. I use a long tail cast on. Okay. Thank you, Ezekiel. Yes, 5 needles. Double pointed needles come in packs of 5. You have 4 needles that you have your live stitches on, and you have 1 that you work your live stitches with. And I'll show you what I mean when I get all this casted on. I only use 3 to hold my stitches and 1 to work on, which makes 4. I use the 5th needle if I'm working cables to use it as like a cable needle. Yeah, anything more than 2. Oh, well, I'm gonna surprise you today. Double pointed needles came around before the circulars. They didn't think about putting a cable between 2 smaller needles to give you a longer span of needles to work in the round. Circular needles are also really good for working blankets because most knitting needles are only 14 inches long. You cannot cram 300 stitches on a 14-inch needle. You will hurt yourself. Get some circulars. An interchangeable set would be a really good thing for you if you're knitting and you like knitting and you know you're going to continue to. Not a very expensive, but a nice set of circular knitting needles. And I can show you that Addy Flexi Flips. I love them. Gnome, I ordered some off of Temu. I'm going to have to let you know how they went because they're like $2.17. But that's outside of class. We're going to cast on 2 stitches on each needle. Okay? So, I do long tail cast on. The tail goes over my thumb and comes towards me. The other end that's going towards the skein goes across my index finger, and then I gather them up like a slingshot. I use these two fingers to hold the yarn. These two hold the shape and the area that I'm working in. I take my double pointed needle, that's 2 points, one on each end, and I stick it in between my hand and the yarn, and I twist. Just turn it around the opposite way so you've got a twisted stitch on there. Now, I go to the fatty part of my thumb, and this is how I teach, because this is the direction and where you need to be to catch these strings proper. There's like 4 or 5 strings you can see here. I can't say this string and that string. So I tell you technically where this needle should be and what it's doing. Meaty part of your palm, up your thumb. It grabs that first string because you go up your thumb. I secure that string with my finger over to the index finger, and you go down your index finger. You went behind that string right there. I secure it with my finger. Come back over here to your thumb, and you go back down your thumb. Okay, I secure the string, and I drop my thumb out of the little loop that was made. Then I come over here and catch the tail end, which where my thumb was holding anyway, and I snug it up. I want to make sure that it still slides up and down the needle. You don't want it so tight that you have to force it up and down the needle, because you'll have problems getting your other needles in there when you do your rounds. Good morning, Pixie Queen. So we're going to go on to needle 2 because I need 2 stitches on 3 needles. Okay, needle 2. We're going to do the same thing that we just did. We are going to place this needle in between these 2 stitches because it helps it stop from sliding. Okay, just a little knitting trick. All right, we're going to load 2 stitches onto this needle now. Again, to the meaty part of your palm and up your thumb. Come over to your index finger and run it down your index finger. You see where the yarn is going. Okay, I'm going to secure that yarn that's laying over the needle with my thumb. Then I'm going to come back down my thumb and run it back down my thumb. I can take my thumb out of that loop now that was created. Come down here and catch this yarn. And I don't think that was supposed to go back up over there. Secure that up. Nope, we did something wrong there. That loop got crazy on me. I'm trying to go slow. Again, meaty part of your palm, up your thumb, over to the pad of your index finger, down your index finger. Secure that yarn. Back down your thumb. Okay, and I'm securing this back again so that way that loop doesn't do that again. And you snug it up. You've got 2 stitches on that one. Now we're going to grab a 3rd needle. Okay, I'm holding this like this so I can grab a 3rd needle. This one's going to be a different color, but it's the same size. And I'm going to hold it right in between those 2 stitches, and I'm going to have to hold all 3 of these needles now. You see, I've got them all secure. They're not going anywhere. So, again, 2 more stitches onto this last needle. Up the thumb. Oh, we got a little short tail. Shorten this needle up a little bit. Up the thumb, down the finger, back down the thumb. Okay, one more. Up the thumb, down the finger, down the thumb. Okay, now 2 stitches on 3 needles. At this point, we are going to knit in the front and back loops. Let me get all of these positioned around here so we are working in a triangle. You see our little triangle here with these? Okay, little triangle. Now, because these stitches are all flat now, we're going to connect them together and we're going to be working in this shape. Okay, this is more so going to give you a triangle. If you want more so a square, you're going to do another 2 stitches on one of these needles, or you can do a 4th needle if you can handle working with 5. My brain won't let me. So if you need more sides, you'd put 2 more stitches on here. Separate it with a stitch marker. Okay? Separate it with a stitch marker. 2 weren't enough. No, Anna. All the needles. We want all the needles. Okay, Emma, I'm going to have you come back at another time to watch this. I cast on. Do you knit, Emma? You thought you were intimidated by two. Emma, do you knit, honey? Because if you do, I will show this to you again. Or I can basically tell you, you cast on with the long tail cast on if you're really good at knitting. But I've already showed this twice now, or this will be the second time. And then what you'll do is, because your yarn is here at this needle, you have to connect to this needle. So you're going to be going into this stitch, and you're going to knit into the front and back of this stitch. Okay? Get this situated around here. And you can see I'm letting go, and they're not coming off. They're hanging there. Sometimes they will fall out, so make sure you got all your needles, or be really trusty that you got them secure, that they're not going to go anywhere from the friction. That was a knit stitch that I'm performing here, and it's going through the front loop of the stitch. Okay? People who normally knit, you know, front loop, back loop. I'm going to not knock this stitch off yet, because I'm going to knit in the front and the back loop, and this is a knitting increase. Get my needle into the back loop there. Okay? And I'm getting a little too tight here. All right. Now we're going to do the same thing over here. And this one here is wriggling loose. I see it. Okay. We're going to go in here and we're going to knit. And then again, well, I wasn't even into the stitch right. Let's get into the stitch right. We're going to knit. And then again, we're going to take our needle to the back, and we are going to slip it right in through there into the back of the stitch, and we're going to knit. Okay? And we're going to do this all the way around on all of these needles. Okay? And I hope I didn't twist that around. No, I didn't. All right, and get this needle lined up here. We just push the needle back to where it's right there before the stitch. And we are going to put it in the stitch, not behind the stitch. And we are going to do a knit stitch. And again, this is intermediate stuff right here. This is not, you know, beginner stuff, so do not feel intimidated. I will get you up to this if you so want to. And we have knitted in the front and the back of that loop. And we're going to come over here and give you this one. This one's going to give you more so a triangle. I should have cast on more stitches to do a square. But I'm still going to show you this. Why is that not pulling through there? Okay, now let's knit in the back of the loop. And I know I'm showing this pretty quick, but I got about 10 more minutes before I have to be off of here. And I could show you this again at 11:30 if you like. But I want to get on to this next row here. And I'm just going to continue on this one since I cut that one off. I don't want to have to cast, you know, put another strand in there. But I can show you how to do that. Color changes with this and everything else. You can use that same pattern that I just taught that square on, and you can do it on this. Just like this. You have to have another cluster of 2, which I forgot to put in here. But we're knitting in the front and back loops of every stitch around. Now on the next round and every round thereafter, you're going to increase by 2 stitches. Okay, every needle is going to get 2 extra stitches on there, and you're going to do this increase at the beginning stitch and the last stitch on every needle. Okay. You see here, we're working in more so a triangle shape, but it's not going to look like a triangle. Amber, if you want to learn how to knit, I do teach right here. And this, again, is more of an intermediate thing. I've been doing a lot of beginner stuff, but I wanted to, you know, do something with the intermediate to kind of, you know, open your eyes to there's a lot more to knitting than just 2 needles. Yeah, I'm here Tuesday mornings, Pixie Queen. You can jump in here at 8 o'clock. Well, 9 o'clock Tuesday mornings if you're already crochet savvy. Okay, so this starts the next row. And what I normally do with this row, I don't do it on the first row. I have a handy dandy stitch marker ready because you need to know where you started, because you don't want to keep going around and not know where you started. So after I perform this first stitch, this is just what I do so I know where the beginning of my row is. We are going to knit in the front and back of the first stitch. It's a little tight to get started because everything's all right here, you know, in your face. I didn't get that on there too secure. I put a good bit of tension on this to get started because you can see there how much it is to be able to pull through that hole. But then I come back down here past the bevel to make sure I get appropriate size. Now on the next couple of stitches here, and this one's doubled up because it was my weave-in stitch from the beginning, we're just going to put one knit stitch in the ones that are in between the first and the last. So it'll be the first stitch on the needle and the last stitch on the needle. And you know what I didn't do? Put my stitch marker right here. I got it laying on the table. Let me slip these stitches over and put that stitch marker in here really quick. I'm just slipping the stitches that I've already done from one needle to the other so I can put that stitch marker. And knitting, the stitch markers normally ride on the needles. Okay, and also with slipping stitches like this, you make sure you slip them the way they're supposed to be slipped or you'll twist your stitch up. Okay, now the last stitch, we are doing a knit in the front, come around here, and you'll be able to see it a little bit better now that I've got a little more space. Knit in the back loop. Okay. You're going to go over to your next needle and do the same thing. Your first stitch and last stitch, you're going to knit in the front and knit in the back. Okay. So here, and you can see it's getting easier to handle. The friction of the extra stitches are keeping the needles in there. Okay, so we're going to knit in the front of the loop. Don't knock the stitch off. Come back here to the back and go in through the back loop. Okay, and knit. Now the two stitches that are in the middle of those, or multiples, however many stitches are in the middle of the first and last, you're just going to knit normally. And I'll have to show you that on the next needle for those of you who aren't avid knitters or new. I'll bring it up here so that you can see. And I'm going to tell you all other things that I do too and the reason why I do them. And you can see here each section is going to fan out like a triangle. And it's going to get wider like this, like a triangle, because we've got 3 on here. So for a knit stitch, and I hope you guys can see this and ignore all these other needles, you're going to go to the left of your stitch, and the stitch is created by the loop that is made by it going around this needle. So you're actually going to come in right through here. Okay, so go to the left of your stitch and go in and up the back. Your needle will go up the back side. Okay, the one you're working with right here. You're going to wrap your needle counterclockwise. I hold tension at this point because it helps. You know, I just heard it click. The 2 needles just snapped together because the yarn went between them. And I hold the tension here because it makes it easier for you to pull your loop through. I let go of tension once I come to this point. My tension lets go so I can size that stitch to the needle. We don't knock that one off yet. We almost did. And we got to go through the back loop. Okay. And then these stitches here, they get knitted in the middle. And then when you come to your last stitch, you're going to knit in the front and the back. And yes, when you knit into the back of your loop, it does resemble a purl stitch on the front. okay, because your yarn goes across the front of your stitch. As you work this, you won't even see those. Those will fade right into the edges, and you'll see all those knit stitches, okay? And you just keep going. Here is the beginning of my row. All right. And as you get bigger with this, you can make a blanket just like this. A knitted blanket starting at the center. You can put any type of eyelet lace or anything else that you want in here. Yeah, it's the same. Knit in the front and back and a single crochet increase. Yeah, they are the same. Double pointed needles confuse you. I can show you if you can work with circulars, which only give you 2. If you have a 40-inch circular, I can show you how to do magic loop to where you can start this on 2 needles with a cable. I'll have to do a video on that. There's a lot of instructional videos that I'm going to be coming out with. Stitches, cast-ons, knitting and crochet. So watch for those. I'm going to do another row here. I got a few more minutes. If anybody has any questions or anything that they would like to see, please make sure to message me. I'm having a lot of short-term memory issues, and if I have it in a message, you're more likely, you're definitely going to get a response from a message, because I'll know what I need to do, but I won't know who to send it to or who to tag, or I'll know who wanted it but not what they wanted. So yes, if you want to see something or you need help, hit me up with a message. In TikTok, I've given you several different ways to get a hold of me, from Instagram to Facebook Messenger if you need to send pictures, because you need help with work, your project that you're working on or whatever, pattern help, anything like that. If it's a paid pattern and it's something that I want to do myself, I will purchase the pattern to help you. If I don't want to do it myself, I will just have you send me the row of work that you are working on, that you're having problems with, so that I can help you. I do honor intellectual rights to property. I will not trim edges with that at all. So if you need pattern help, crochet or knit-wise, I will do my best. I have been doing this for quite so many years. There's still things that I have not done, and there are things that I would love to learn alongside with you. I am going to be expanding what I do with my TikTok platform a good bit. I'm kind of transitioning here from one life to another, being an empty nester, and I'm, transitioning over. So I'll be doing a lot more with TikTok and things like that. But you can see here your increases on the ends are going to start giving you a triangle look. This will lay flat as long as you keep your increases proper across all 3 needles. You were gone for 5 minutes. I do upload my classes to YouTube. So if you want to go back, check it out again, it is there. If you want for me to show you, again, hit me up in a message. We will set a time that you have, because pretty much my day's open from 6:30 in the morning up until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I will make special concessions for certain things, as long as it's not, if it's a half hour, I can do that to help you in the evening. I will sacrifice a half hour of family time. So, but yeah, you can do all kinds of things with this. Watch Hoarder Ace. She is working a cardigan, hexagon cardigan, just like this. I've seen snapshots of what she started out with, and it has inspired me to want to do something like that with a pattern that I have otherwise. It's a lacy, like oak leaf pattern that I think would look really nice done up like this. So, yeah, everything. I like all kinds. You knit amigurumi. Yeah, you have to start it like this. This is how you start it. Yeah, you can make all kinds of stuff with granny. Oh, no, I'm not that lonely. Baby girl, I am not that lonely. I love you. I love you. Yeah, you just like to watch. Well, there might be something that somebody makes on here that you say, oh, I really like that. You know, there's always something in knit or always something in crochet that will drag you in and make you want to learn. So, I'm going to go ahead and end for today because the hubby calls me around 10:30 every day to check in, make sure I'm all right, and I don't want him driving home from work. So I will be back at 11:30. We will finish up, and it'll be a just for fun, so it counts towards the giveaway. If you want to be entered into the giveaway, it'll be drawn on September 1st, and it's all the random lives outside of my Tuesday class. The top 10 viewers, and you must be followers, are entered into a giveaway. I know not everybody does knit or crochet, but you will be able to choose your craft of preference, and that's all that I'm going to say. But we've got names in here. And yes, I reuse, repurpose, recycle. This is a Milk Bones bucket. You just missed what, Jessica? Did you miss the knitting portion? Yeah, Amber, you can knit amigurumi. There are knitted amigurumis, and you start them out just like this. For sure. But I'm going to go ahead and end so I don't miss the phone call that will have him thinking that I'm not in a good state. And yeah, and hit Gnome up on Discord today. She can tell you all about it. All about it. But yes, I will see everyone later. 11:30, come back. We'll finish up the crocheted square. I'll discuss how to make your own patterns on this, and if anybody else wants to see this again, I can do this again. May all your stitch counts match, and as usual, happy crafting. 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. Come check me out.